For most people, and especially men, sexual performance is tied very much to your success in life. It makes you feel like you're a man. And a man naturally wants to be a leader, wants to be strong, wants to do things.
Welcome to Take Charge Series 2, powered by male wellness supplement Ginsumen. This is episode 6. We, in our previous episode 5, had discussed briefly on how energy affects performance throughout the day and night. In today's discussions, we have here with me a panel of interesting guests. Mr. Nicholas Kasidi. He is an HR expert and has been recently named in Kenya's top 20 disruptive people leaders in 23 and has extensive exposure for 15 years in his field of HR expertise. I have with me Professor Joachim Osur. He is a medical doctor as well as a professor in sexual medicine. Today, he is here to enlighten all men about the most interesting aspect of our evolutionary trait. I have with me Flora Wambua, the brand manager for Ginsumen and a biochemist. She's been in the field of pharmaceuticals for about 10 years. With her loaded experience today, we're going to open the floor to our discussion. And I would like to personally introduce myself. I am Rama, a nutritionist and a lifestyle consultant. We're going to open the floor to our discussion. Sir, sex for pleasure is no hushed talk, not anymore. It is a way of actually bringing out what can be discussed healthily and improve relationships as well as sexual performance, both for men and women. Professor, scientifically or biologically, man is wired to sample many women. Is it natural for men to flirt?
So sampling many women here, we mean having sex with many women. One man having sex with many women? That's what you mean? And I think now that you bring in the issue of biology, let's look at the animal kingdom. You realize that in a herd of animals, there's always just one male, and they serve the whole herd. And so there is that natural tendency for one man to serve many, but things to do with religion and culture then come in, which restrict that, because we don't have to behave like animals. That does not, however, mean that men don't, flirt with other women. The reason why this happens is because men get bored very easily when it comes to sexual issues. And so they want to try with other people. And let me add that it's not just men, actually. In my experience, even women are having many sex partners. Recently, there was this Kenya Demographic and Health Survey done in Kenya, which shows that on average, most men are having about three women on average, while most women are having 2. It's happening all over the place. And so sex with many people is becoming very common. I would say it is because people want to explore, people want more pleasure, and it is hard to get it from one person. Of course, if the one person is able to provide different types of pleasure, variety, then maybe moving out would be less.
Spicing up, exactly.
Yeah, it is bringing variety into sexual relationships to enhance pleasure.
Who better than you to educate us on that?
Mm-hmm.
I have a few questions for you, as well as Mr. Nicholas. Let's begin with you. Work performance and sexual issues. A confidence of a man is directly related to his sexual health. Is that true?
To a large extent, it's a very indirect indicator. You cannot really point a finger to it, but studies have shown that when a man is having a very healthy sexual relationship at home, they perform much better, they are more energized, and they exude more confidence. The way they speak, the way they act, and even the way they handle issues with their colleagues at work. So it kind of translates to the output.
And what about the reverse?
The reverse actually could also be true. I think we just talked about it in the earlier episode, where if things at home, when sex at home is not happening, or maybe it's not satisfactorily happening, then at work, people now will be feeling the
gaps.
They'll be filling the gaps, or you'll be actually trying as much as possible to fill in the gaps by, identifying areas where you can try and meet that need, whether it's partial or fully. And that's where this question of work house husbands and work housewives keep coming up, because there's some kind of dependency on someone you think you can tie some level of affection to at work, because you spend more time with them, and because also there's that gap at home. So in most cases, you're in the office and you'll be working much longer without being in a hurry to go back home, because actually you're liking being in the office more when around this person who is sort of like work wife or something. Yeah, so that gap is kind of partially being supported.
That's a very important question. For most people, and especially men, sexual performance is tied very much to your success in life. It makes you feel like you're a man. And a man naturally wants to be a leader, wants to be strong, wants to do things. We play football, we ride bikes, we do safari rally. What makes you feel confident and aggressive and behave, like a man? Because there are prescriptions that communities have put on what it is to be a man. It's very connected to your sexual performance. When a man fails, either the erection has failed, they have ejaculated prematurely, it is like their day, their lives, their whole world has crashed.
That's my very next question to you, sir.
Yeah.
Premature ejaculation and the inability, possibly, to ejaculate.
Yeah, so when their whole day has crashed, it means they can't perform, they can't invest wisely, they can't be good to any people at work. Their self-confidence is down. They can't talk well in meetings. They make a lot of mistakes on documents because their confidence, their ego is bruised. So sex is very important. And when they prematurely ejaculate, for example, it means they are less of a man. Their ego goes down. Their confidence goes down. Their work performance will go down. Yeah. The world has come to an end. They will go into alcohol. To soothe, just to forget the problems they're having. And in fact, some of them will even now try to move with other women to see if it can happen differently with someone else. And this only adds to a whole social quagmire, because no woman wants to be misused for testing if my organ is working, So they will also ask for their rights, and the relationships get complicated, and work issues come in, and now the HR will tell you, you are not performing.
Performance is affected at work.
We as women will also constantly remind them.
Yeah.
That happens when men
Exactly. That actually, Flora.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
they're not good enough.
In fact, I have a problem with the way women handle these issues. At the heat of the moment when things fail, they ask questions like, what is wrong with you?
Like giving immediate feedback.
Yeah.
And they can even push you away,
Yeah.
which only makes the man.
It makes it worse, right?
Yeah.
Still hot.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what do you think is the woman's supporting role in the man's crisis, whatever we call as crisis?
And I want to say that, of course, it's disappointing, it's hurting when these things happen. When you are at the heat of the moment and suddenly you realize, oh, you are alone in this game, the guy is gone. It is definitely disappointing, and you're left hanging.
Thank you.
But if you want your man to heal
Yeah.
and become good, you need to be loving at those moments. You need to give
Greater sense of understanding and
Yes.
empathy.
Yes. Give reassurance that tomorrow will be a better day.
Yeah. Yeah.
In fact, if you react negatively,
It's a tough one for
kills.
women.
tomorrow will definitely be a worse day.
It's a tough one because
Yeah.
sometimes we associate that with maybe cheating. Maybe the reason why the performance is not good
Absolutely.
is because I don't do good enough. Maybe it's because
We are also evaluating ourselves
and we
in
also
the
tie
whole
the lack
act of performance.
You're very right.
So I guess it's not so easily given by a woman for that
At the moment,
reason.
we are not there to reassure you.
I know, and you're very right. You start asking yourself, am I
Good enough.
ugly now? You no longer love me? Are you with someone else?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You don't care? You know those things.
Yeah.
I think it's just good to understand that they can happen once in a while. And if you don't handle it well, it becomes psychological and it will only get worse.
Worse.
So if you love your husband
Yeah.
or your boyfriend, treat them with care at such moments.
Their lowest moments.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick them up at the lowest moments.
And I think you need to be more patient.
It is, yeah.
Don't give up real quickly that, hey, okay, you can't, okay, I'm done. Yeah.
No, it's very enlightening because
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of women
Yeah.
watching this as well.
Yeah.
But men also need to educate their women on such because this is important for both of them to come to an agreement or some sort of an understanding
Yeah.
in order to.
Yeah.
The next question that I believe that we need to address here is it true? Because there are a lot of myths surrounded with this whole thing because it's mostly hushed talk. The size of the penis affects men of older age.
Yeah. A lot of people are actually minting money by telling men that they can increase their penis sizes. So if you go into the internet, you will find a lot of products to increase your penis size. And most men at one point or another always wonder if their size is okay. Because nobody actually has measured it to tell you if it's okay. So it's good to worry and ask yourself, is it too small, is it too big? But mostly they worry that it is too small. I would say that most of the women are actually not satisfied with the size. They are satisfied with the skill. And most orgasms don't happen because there was penetration. Yeah?
There are many other factors that govern this.
Actually, just to say the clitoris is outside.
It's on the surface.
It's on the surface. It is the most innervated organ in the body of a human being.
Wow.
It has very many nerve endings. It's very sensitive. And 80 to 90% of orgasms come from there. So size should never be the worry.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Very
of men out
important.
there, I think, are unnecessarily falling prey to such. Whereas building good health and, boosting your energy and performance is more vital rather than worrying about these kinds of
Yeah.
myths that surround the area.
And the truth is that we are yet to really find a medicine that will increase your penis size. That's the truth. And even if it did, and you didn't have the skill, you will not be satisfying your
Absolutely.
partner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
True.
Which brings me to the next question. I believe that you both can tell us timelines with sexual performance. Can one do it more often? Or how spaced should each performance be? Because all these things I think matter more with the age factor coming in. So
Okay. So there are
can
two things.
yeah.
There are two things you're talking about when you're talking about timelines. I think you're thinking frequency
Yes,
as well as duration of
duration.
sex.
Correct.
So I don't know which one is. You mean both or one?
Absolutely. Hit the nail on the head.
Frequency matters more.
The frequency matters.
Frequency?
The duration?
Also matters.
Also matters. But it all depends. There are a lot of factors. And we normally say what works for one couple may not work for another.
Correct.
I like telling this story about my doctor friend who one day called me. He was somewhere in a clinic, and a man came in, and he was very worried. As we've said, when men feel like sex is not working, they worry. So this was very worried. His worry was, I've been having sex like 3-4 times a night with my wife. They're a young couple. But I'm realizing that I can only manage once these days, and I'm worried. And this guy called me, he's a gynecologist, and said, you know what, I need to ask you something. And I'm calling you from the toilet of my clinic. I asked, why are you calling me from the toilet? Because I want us to talk before I go back to tell this patient whether he's okay. He was asking, who is sick here? Am I the one or this patient? Because I can't imagine doing it daily. But he's worried because he can't do it more than once in a night. Which means the frequency really is what a couple wants. And some couples are okay with twice a night, others are happy with twice a week, others are happy with 3-4 times a month. We get worried. We get worried and we make a diagnosis of a sexless marriage if the frequency is less than 15 times in a year.
Wow.
Okay, that's a...
It's like
Yeah.
once a month.
You're living together, you sleep together in the same bed every day, and you can only have sex less than 15 times in a year. We worry.
Okay.
Okay? Otherwise, whatever else, if both couples are happy, good enough.
So does that mean it's supposed to be a natural call for such things?
I mean, people should be able to find their bearing.
Their bearings, and there's no timetable that's required that,
Definitely. Of course, I want also to add that there is sex addiction, which is now the excess side of things.
Yes, please talk about
And
that.
sex addicts, it's really a disease. They're having sex to calm some pain, they are hurt in some way because of life issues. It's like alcohol addiction or drug addiction. They are doing it impulsively. They don't even like it, but they are doing it again and again, and with many partners, and they are watching porn and masturbating. And you can find in one day, someone has had sex with more than 1, 2, 3, 4 partners. And they do that all the time. They spend a lot of money and their resources chasing after sex. So that's another different story. It's a sickness which needs to be treated. But normal frequencies where 2 people have agreed, they are happy, they are having sex more than 15 times in a year, and they are not really chasing sex like in sex addiction. Yeah. So that is frequency, but you also talked about the time duration.
Duration, yes.
In the studies that have been done in sex medicine, most sex durations, the penetrative sex part of sex, lasts about 5 to 7 minutes. And when it is less than 5 minutes, we start talking of premature ejaculation. And premature ejaculation can be very severe. Severe one is where people are ejaculating even before they start. So, they're ending before they start. The lady is saying, are we starting? And you've ended. That is severe.
What leads to that?
Yes.
What leads to that? Yeah.
What leads to that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll come to that. But
No, but it's a fact. I think it's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, we are laughing today, but I guess it's a fact.
It happens.
it happens. So the less severe, moderately severe, they penetrate within 1 to 2 minutes, they are done. And the mild one is 3 to 5 minutes. And most of the time, the lady is complaining because they are left hanging. Now, what brings this? There is what we call primary premature ejaculation. Someone is born with it, they just react too fast to sex, and they finish too fast. We treat it, it's very easy to treat. But there are secondary premature ejaculation, which is caused by many other underlying problems. When hormones are not okay, testosterone may be too low, or prolactin, another hormone, or other hormones in the body are not okay, then that process gets affected. And people can ejaculate either too fast or take too long to ejaculate.
You mentioned primary.
Yeah.
Would that mean it's more mental, emotional? Is there a psychological way of looking at
So
performance?
primary here simply means from the time one has started having sex, they have the problem.
Oh,
It is,
okay. So from the
lawyers
time
would say ab
of
initio,
adulthood.
from the start,
From the beginning, yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Secondary means you are okay previously, but along the way, things have started happening
Going wrong.
the wrong way. Yeah.
What about doing anything about it mentally or emotionally? Like, would your guidance involve talking to people, men especially, on such?
So normally, every sex problem has medical dimensions, psychological, and social dimensions. So treatment is really comprehensively looking at all those areas.
All the areas.
If there is a biological problem, we treat it. But then we have to manage the psychological. As we said, a man who has failed has his ego crushed. They are no longer functioning okay. Some don't even sleep because they are worried. So we have to manage the psychological bit, and then the social, the relationships, and the work issues, because they are no longer performing. So we have to come in and work around that as well. So treatment looks at those different areas.
Areas of treatment.
Some of the things, just to mention, we've done even at work is we have employee assistance programs, which is now a pool of counselors which are at the employee's disposal, and they're accessible 24/7. And what we usually encourage is, because these are third parties, we don't work with them, you can always feel free to call them anytime, and they're accessible to you, to your family, and your dependents. So you can talk about anything: sexual health, mental health, alcoholism, addictions. So we encourage a lot of that, because we realize some of these things, if left lying there or not addressed, they really affect productivity at work.
In every way, I guess.
In every
if
way.
it
In every
affects
way.
productivity at work,
Yeah.
it's going to relate in the house as well, I guess,
Yeah.
at night, and
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah,
bed.
and maybe one thing that employers need to also really take care of, I see a lot of patients, but they tell me that the costs will not be reimbursed because people believe that sexual medicine or sexual health problems are not medical problems.
Yes.
And so the employers need to
Yeah.
enlist that as, if someone has premature ejaculation,
Yeah.
that's a medical problem.
Yeah.
They should,
Absolutely.
the costs should be covered.
Yeah.
And insurances also give us problems. So this is one reason why most people will also just keep off. Because when you go to a doctor, they want to do all these tests,
Yeah.
and the insurance says they can't pay because it is premature ejaculation.
Yeah.
Or you're going to buy medicine and you're told that medicine is to enhance your sexual performance, it's not covered, then they just keep off.
No, I think post-COVID, we are seeing a lot of this coming up with employers trying to now renegotiate with the insurance providers to go above and beyond the bare minimum that is being provided. So I know even with women's health issues, they're talking about fertility, menopause, family planning. I think on the men's side, there are also issues that we
Absolutely.
can
They're all medical
address
issues.
Yeah.
with the insurance firms. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So a healthy
Correctly said.
human being
yeah,
is a healthy worker.
yeah.
And so we should promote sexual health. We should provide sexuality education. We should treat sexual health problems to make this person really be productive in society.
Yeah.
I have a question to the professor. As a brand manager, Jinsomin, we've had instances where we have interacted with men, particularly, and one of the biggest questions that comes is, what is the difference between premature ejaculation, erectile dysfunction, and low libido. It's like most men don't know where is the difference,
Line.
really. Where does the line come? Maybe you can shed some light.
Yeah, so low libido simply means you don't feel like having sex. There is no desire for it. You don't feel, there is that internal
Urge.
urge and pressure to engage sexually. It's not there. You don't have sexual dreams. You don't have imaginations about sex. And so someone with low libido kind of just keeps off. They don't even want to initiate relationships that can lead to a sexual situation. So that is low libido. Erectile dysfunction is erection failure. A man wants to have sex.
So the desire is there,
The desire is there.
but they cannot.
But the moment that they want to do penetrative sex, the erection may not be there, or it can be there and then midway it will go before the circle is complete. Yeah, and then premature ejaculation, as we've said, is ejaculating too fast, leaving your partner in a bad place. And sometimes most men actually feel that even they have also been left in a bad place because they didn't have enough time to engage. Yeah.
So when to seek help, or what is your take on supplements or anything that can actually help such situations?
So I would say there are two things. There is promoting sexual health. You don't wait until you're sick, then you seek.
Oh, very good point.
Yeah.
Very, very good point.
Promoting is very important. And there are two things that are important in promoting sexual health. One is frequent sexual health check. We actually recommend annual sexual health check just to know that you're okay. In that same setting, we talk about your relationships, because you can be healthy sexually, but you're having unhealthy relationships. So we talk about that.
I'm curious about that. Do you
Yeah.
do a physical check, or is it more of a mental evaluation?
It is both. It is biological, it is social, it is psychological. Like, if you have, for example, talking about men, a big prostates, you will not be able to have sex. So we have to do every check. It surprises me actually that there are people who have been born, they have grown up to 40 years, nobody has ever examined their genitals. So they come to me when they have a problem and I ask, did you realize you only have one testis? And they say, is it wrong to have one testis? It's wrong, it's a disease. This needs to be treated. So sexual health checks, both physical, psychological, and social, very, very important in promoting good sexual health. The second one is then how you live, the lifestyle in promoting sexual health. That's very important. That's where the issue of supplements come in. Exercise, eating the right food, which I know you can talk more about.
Absolutely.
Ensuring your BMI is okay. You know, lifestyle and lifestyle diseases affect sexuality. So
Also, what happens when another partner is not up to your level of performance? Because this is very disengaging for either sex. I'm talking from a man's perspective. Probably a man wants more out of, and the woman is not able to provide.
Yeah,
or vice versa.
we call it discordance in desire. So the desire of one person is higher than the other.
And the other.
It brings a lot of conflicts because the one with high desire thinks that they're not being appreciated and satisfied. The one with low desire feels harassed. You're always pushing me to have
Is there a
sex.
repair mechanism for it from your end of sexual health? For either one of them? I mean, do you
It's
weigh and
one
say
reason-
this one is wrong, this one is right? Is
Both
it
of
wrong
them
to
are
have-
right.
Yeah.
And that is one reason they need to come for a sexual health check.
Meaning that sexual health should be analyzed from both parties, not
Yes.
just from one
True.
person.
True, because for sex to be satisfying, both partners must
Takes
be
two
playing
to
their
tango.
role. Yeah, very true. Of course, I know we are in a modern world and people are having sex with other things, and I'm sure Yeah, you know there are
And with
toys
self.
and with self and all. But if it is partner sex,
Yeah.
then the two of them need to be part of that engagement. Yeah.
I always worry when it comes to age. For much older men, and we've had these cases of men dying in the line of duty.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Which duty now?
Of performing sexual performance.
You know, we always say, so the lady thinks the man is coming, only to realize the man
He
is
was
actually going.
It's going. So, and then you discover as the specialist that maybe they took some blue pills or they've been trying to enhance in some way.
Bedroom doping. Absolutely.
Yeah. Then it must have been the pumping has been working overtime for some reason, and then this guy just
Goes.
Yeah.
And stress is another important factor to add on to all this.
Yeah, I mean, and that is why it is important to talk about your sexuality with a specialist. Before you use any medicine to enhance sexual performance, it's good to, have a talk and find out, is it what I need? All medicines are good. They are made and tested for a specific reason to benefit the patient. So they are always good. Problems come if it is misused. Even Panadol, if you don't take it for the right reason, the right dose, you get problems. And so we find a lot of misuse of sexual enhancers, sexual
enhancing drugs.
Yeah. There is a lot of misuse, and there are a lot of people walking into pharmacies and just using them for no good reason. Many times they're not sick at all.
Does your advice also include things like when to use such doping materials? Or,
Well, so
do you
doping in itself is a negative thing. It means you're using something, whether it is alcohol or some drugs, to escape from reality. What is the reality? Do you have a sex problem that needs treatment? Is it a relationship problem that needs couple therapy? What is the problem? We need to face the problem so that you don't have to, because people who do doping, they are escaping from reality. Maybe they fear their partner, they are scared of their partner, or they fear they will fail sexually. So they are taking something to escape from that reality for that moment, and things hopefully will go well, and then they come back to their senses. That is not healthy.
It's not healthy.
I've also realized something about men. We have been in the pharmaceutical industry. Most men want quick solutions. They don't want to wait. They have a sexual problem, they want it to work now.
You are now
Maybe you
talking
can-
like a sexual health doctor. Because I get these calls in the night, and they are saying, the erection is failing, what can I do?
Right now.
Right now, she's there, I'm just calling you.
Before she walks away. Yeah.
I mean, those quick fixes don't work.
I can understand your jeopardy at work, but to make it probably more easier for our consumers or our audience today, what is your take on supplements, or rather a set of things that are safe, not really the dopes?
Yeah,
What is your take on such?
so just like I've said, it is part of health promotion. We need to promote good health for sexuality to be okay. So we've talked about promoting good health, and we've talked about lifestyle as being pivotal in achieving satisfying sexual experiences. Supplements fall there. There are some foods that people eat to be healthy. There is exercise.
Yeah. Almost all of these kinds of things actually promote good health. In the process of promoting good health, of course, performance, especially in these areas
You need,
also.
Actually, good sexual performance is an indicator of health.
Good health, exactly. I was
If you
just coming
cannot
to that.
perform sexually, it's for me a sign of
Deficiency in certain,
something not right.
not right.
Yeah, it could be a deficiency, it could be a dysfunction, it could be anything which needs to be sorted. So if you're not performing well, normally most of the patients I see, when they come and complain of one thing, maybe erection failure or what, when you do an assessment, then you discover there is an underlying problem. Yeah.
So it's a complete, I mean, if you are energetic and if you are able to do everything else, and if there is a disorder here, then you cannot really relate it to that. It is something here. Fantastic.
But good health, whether supplements or exercises or good diet, those things are important for effective performance. And to be energetic in anything, not just sexually, at work, to be happy in the family, you need to be healthy.
Africans, as I see, or rather, we need to understand better from your space. Do they see asking for help in these areas, especially in areas of sexual health, as we speak? Do they consider it being vulgar, or like, where does the line?
It's taboo.
It's taboo.
And it is taken that good people don't talk about sex.
Good people don't talk about sex.
So we are all bad
My
people
God.
now.
Yeah.
My God.
I remember people have asked me severally, are you a medical doctor? Because they don't imagine that these problems are treatable in the hospital. And so whenever they get a problem, the hospital is not the first place they think about. They talk to a friend who most of the times will give wrong advice because they don't have the technical knowledge. We have a lot of people running to the streets. If you are in a traffic jam on Uhuru Highway, you're likely to see someone selling some roots.
Mitishamba.
Yeah? And they tell you, if you chew this, you will perform.
Yes.
And people go for those. If you walk in marketplaces, there will be people with 5-liter jerry cans selling solutions, telling you if you drink, you'll be okay.
You'll be a he-man.
And
Be a
we have
house.
admitted people with severe side effects because some of those things have chemicals which we don't know. Someone comes with kidney failure, comes with erosion, gastritis and things like that. But that is what people do because it is distressing to have a sex problem. They can't talk easily about it. So if you find someone on the roadside saying, if you chew this, you will be okay, they have not even asked you if you have a problem, but you know internally that you're suffering. You quickly buy it and chew it without knowing what you're treating. And so a lot of people who come to me have gone through a lot of those. Some actually tell me the last 1 year, 2 years, I've been trying to come. I've been thinking about it until finally today I came, and I'm not yet sure whether I should be here because it is a very difficult thing going to talk to
Face
people
up
about
to.
your failure.
So, in short, it is better to understand it from a deeper perspective rather than treat yourself of your own, just looking at the internet or just
Yeah.
reading about it or asking a friend, etc.
Yeah. Now, sexual health problems are medical problems.
Medical problems.
They can be treated.
They can be treated. That is very reassuring.
Yes.
Professor,
Some will
that's
require
very
medicine,
reassuring.
some will require therapy, some will require counseling, but they can be treated.
I have a question. You started by saying the role of hormones, and especially in, you called it secondary, maybe premature ejaculation and such. Is there a role that the stress hormone plays when it comes to sexual health?
So stress is a very important factor in sexual function. People who are stressed cannot perform sexually. We saw a lot of that during COVID. I had a lot of patients with erection failure because of the stress of losing jobs, not having income, being restricted in a small space. You can no longer go out and have your time with the boys. They just got stressed, and the first thing, erection failed. So stress is an important factor. And we see a lot of that in a city like Nairobi. We see a lot of that in this current economic situation. We see a lot of that when people lose their jobs. And other stresses, there are also social stresses. relationship stresses, many of those things, losing a loved one. People just,
Or just having a bad day at work.
yeah, having a bad boss.
Bad boss.
Bad boss.
Terrible boss.
Terrible
Yeah.
boss who was-
You lose erection because a bad boss.
Oh my God.
That's
Yeah.
messed.
You get home and your wife
Boss is messed up
So the
your
HR needs to do something.
nighttime performance.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But this also proves to the fact that men are also emotionally fragile in a lot of ways.
Well, I would say human beings, we all have emotions, and managing emotions can be difficult.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Professor, you talked about diet and you talked about exercise. As a lifestyle consultant and as a nutritionist, I want to emphasize on the role of diet, especially for sexual health. There is a new line of study called the nutritional psychiatry, which actually beams in a lot of supplements as well as vitamins, minerals, etc., which come into play to elevate moods, to elevate, of course, energy is a part of what we feed in our bodies, but moods, especially relating to behavior, to emotions, etc. So it's a very interesting topic, but there are foods that can actually encouragingly beneficial to sexual health. Especially, I'm sure you are aware of the fact that the mineral zinc plays a very vital role in fertility, both for men and women. And vitamin E, that is also a very powerful antioxidant that helps clear a lot of issues which are related to, sexual health. Of course, exercise. I am a firm believer of exercise because I think this is what we thrive on. Oxygen is where we thrive on. So building up oxygen in our muscles as well as in our brains only helps us look at life better to begin with, as well as enhance performance. And of course, having a good regimen, a discipline with all this, a good diet, a healthy diet, having a very disciplined way of exercising, not just going to the gym because I want to show off my muscle, once in a while, just before a field day. Things like these, I think, matter for sexual health. And of course, I'm not ruling out counseling or psychology, but adaptogens. In the supplements, I would want to pick on adaptogens. This is a very widely used traditional way of roots that sometimes play in for boosting male energies and working on hormonal health of men. I will allow Flora to probably talk more about it.
Before she comes in, very, very important and very briefly, you cannot be sexual if you don't feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
You cannot feel good if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't eat the right food and do the right exercise. So all those things you're saying are very important for someone to be sexual. Back to your adaptogens.
So yes, adaptogens, like Rama has said. So adaptogens have actually, just maybe to describe what is an adaptogen, adaptogens are substances which help the body to adapt to stressful conditions, just like the name suggests, adaptogen. So they are basically substances mostly gotten from natural plant extracts, which basically help the body to cope with stress better. Because throughout the series, you've heard the way stress affects sexuality and performance and everything. Because when you're stressed, basically your stress hormone levels are high, which is basically the cortisol levels. And when the cortisol is good because a little amount of stress is required in order for you to even perform, but too much of it is what becomes the problem. And particularly when it comes to in relation to sexual performance. So when your cortisol levels are very, very high, it means your endorphins or feel-good hormones are low. And we need the feel-good hormones in our body to even just perform, especially sexually, and even just to get good sleep. So ginseng, and particularly the Korean Panax ginseng, has been extensively studied. It was used as ancient medicine in Chinese medicine and has been used and adopted throughout the globe And many numerous studies have been done, and especially in particular in connection to its benefits in sexual health. So its mode of action is in such a way that it lowers the stress hormones, and that is why we call it an adaptogen, because it helps you cope to stressful conditions better. It also increases the circulation. And you talked about oxygen levels. When you have improved circulation, you have improved oxygen levels. And all these are very important things, even when it comes to issues like erectile dysfunction, for example. There are some studies which have been done to evaluate the efficacy of ginseng in erectile dysfunction. The other aspect of sexual performance has to do with low libido. I remember I had asked the professor to highlight what is the difference. So low libido basically is when there is no desire to have sex. This can be affected by psychological factors as well as physical factors and social factors. When it comes to physical factors or underlying causes, that's where the doctors come in, evaluate and see what could be the cause. Now, the good thing about ginseng is that there are social factors or aspects or psychological aspects which also contribute to low libido, like anxiety, like lack of interest generally, like you realize that someone generally has low energy, they're not just feeling good about themselves, which all these things can be contributed by all these stressors that we get at work and at home. So adaptogens again come in to help you cope with those stressful conditions by basically managing your hormonal levels and ensuring that you have good circulation, and therefore your performance and especially sexual performance gets improved. But it is important to note that ginseng is not a quick fix. Is not. We talked about quick fixes, which the professor said they don't work. And if they do, I'm sure the side effects would be also tremendous. So ginseng contains Korean Panax ginseng, which is the most extensively studied adaptogen in the world. It has been used globally, it's time tested. Apart from that, nutrition is a key aspect. We talked about foods, and what we get from foods basically is part of what we get from foods, like when you eat fruits and vegetables, is vitamins and minerals. They are very important. They also contribute to our immune levels. They contribute to even the formation of enzymes and hormones at the same time. And all these things put together help the body perform better. So ginseng is one such wellness formula or wellness multivitamin for men with ginseng that has been time tested, that has helped men across Africa and beyond the globe. Millions of men have tried ginseng as part of their daily wellness supplements, as part of their breakfast. If you include capsule of ginseng, it all makes the part of checking your performance and improving your sexual health. So you don't have to wait until the real problems come. You can just identify a good supplement like ginseng, make it part of your diet, take it with breakfast. It gives you the energy to perform both day and at night.
Valuable information.
Yes.
Very valuable indeed. The professor has talked extensively on, how to manage sexual health and catch it at the beginning rather than wait for it to blow out of the case. And thank you, Mr. Nicholas. I mean, your inputs are just divine, because I think the industry needs to really understand that sexual health is as important as any medical problem, and heightening it to that level, I think, is very engaging. This has all taught us not to take sexual health so lightly, because it's important to catch it very young. And
Yeah, I mean, you're very right. I know when Daktari spoke about this being a taboo in the traditional African society, in today's world, we are seeing a lot of traction and people becoming a bit more open about their sexual health and being more vulnerable, coming out. And I think men are getting a lot of courage and confidence to seek help when they need it. And, very recently I was just reading an article about, Sweden going all the way out to make sex as national sport. And I think this has just caught caught us by shock, because we are wondering how in the world can this be a sport? I'm just to tell you that this is not something that you can take very lightly, and I think with most of the developed economies, this is not, it's not a taboo anymore. I mean, it's a medical fact that needs to really come out, and I think really getting a way to advance this conversation beyond, just where we sit today and getting into the boardrooms.
Absolutely,
getting
sir.
it
Very
to our
well
homes,
said.
to
Very well
churches, to schools with our kids. So
and
that
not
this
make it
become-
taboo to discuss.
Yeah. So it's part of our ecosystem.
Exactly.
So we need to really have it as part of our ecosystem and never shy away from it, because it's ailing most of the men not coming out. But the more they see these conversations happening, it gives them courage, and people really want to try out some of these things. And I think, you guys are very timely with Ginsomen coming in this case as an adaptogen. So keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for enlightening us on that as well. Thank you, Professor, for all that lovely information that we got to hear from you today. Yes, you've said more, and we would love to hear more from you in the coming few series if we have a chance to. But is there anything that you want to leave us with?
I think what you are saying is that when success is defined, whether it is at the place of work, at family level, in your education, whatever you do, that equation can never be perfect without sex being in it. And so we have to take our sexual health seriously. We have talked a lot about the things that people need to do. And I only hope that people will take it up and we can have a healthy society.
Absolutely. I only hope that people will take cue and move forward with it healthily. Flora, to you.
So what I can say is, as Mega Life Sciences, a company that believes in helping people in their journey to healthier lives, this is a very interesting aspect for us to be part of, and especially Ginsomin, in seeing men take charge of their lives, seeing men perform better in a world where we can say men are somehow neglected. I think a lot of empowerment has been focused on women in the recent past, and to have a male wellness supplement that just supports men in their health, not just sexual health, but general health. I would say I am very happy and privileged to be part of such a cause. Thank you.
You have heard this beautiful session go on. I believe that we need to take cue. If you are out there and if you do not know what to do, kindly seek help. And if you wish to go back and watch us on the series before, where there have been interesting topics that have been discussed, please click the link below and take charge